Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great, and appreciate you stopping by. So the Miami Dolphins continued OTAs today, Phase 2. They're in the midst of it. Mike McDaniel met with the media, and I would say that there was a lot of juicy things to dive into from our favorite yammering little coach who could be on the hot seat. That was a very prevalent thing in a lot of publications. ESPN wrote this week about his job security. Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio, a bit of a carnival barker, not a big fan of Chris Sims. I think everybody knows that little Pro Football Talk duo. But he had a piece today about the pressure being on Tua. I think this is all patently obvious stuff. I don't even think that the most ardent Tua supporters, and I would consider myself among them. I am a Tua fan. And wish Tua success and want Tua to work out. Was happy when Tua got his extension, but even a person who supports it knows that he's pretty much in a bleep or get off the pot season. I think everybody realizes that, but that's another story for another day. The thing I want to get into from Mike McDaniel from this press conference was, I am so fascinated about getting the juice on this breakup between him and Jalen Ramsey. I am dying to know what the holy hell happened between these two. Because Mike McDaniel, I think we all know, this is a man, he likes the sound of his own voice. He talks a lot and uses the most inefficient amount of words to discuss anything. And today, when it was brought up with this whole Jalen Ramsey situation, this man could not have wanted to say less about his, I guess, soon-to-be former star cornerback. And I was like, whoa, dude, that felt icy.
Stand regarding Jalen Ramsey? Do you expect him here this week at all?
Well, quite honestly, zero has changed since the last time I said anything about him, and I'm very much interested in the players that I'm coaching on the field today. I think if you have a team that's focused on getting better each and every day, that's plenty for me to worry about. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Or be to find a resolution before minicamp?
I'm really worried about the players that will be out on the field today, and that's about as much breath as I want to speak into it.
Whew. Well. That was Frosty. Man, that man who seems about as happy-go-lucky as it goes for the most part. Obviously, when his team starts losing, he looks a little bit disheveled and looks like he wants to jump out a window. But for the most part, lighthearted, likes to make the jokey jokes, always putting a positive spin on his players. Players coach, yeah? But this man is done talking about Jalen Ramsey. And I just want to know what the hell happened. And I don't know if it was just a trade demand. I don't know if it was just, I don't believe in you. I don't know if it's Jalen Ramsey telling him, I think you're soft. You let players walk all over you. I don't know if he doesn't respect him because it goes back to Vic Fangio. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But very clearly, Jalen Ramsey and this guy, Mike McDaniel, are really done with each other. Now, the funny thing was, Jalen Ramsey, I'll get to another couple Mike McDaniel pieces here on this, but Jalen Ramsey, he's had very busy Twitter fingers. Tweeted out yesterday his countdown of 5. He was getting ready to leave. But he said today on this whole ordeal, he said, the false narratives, either lame or funny, don't let it faze you. Wish well and blessings among them all anyways, prayer emoji. This is for anyone who needs it, by the way. Finish the week strong. Love y'all for real. And closes it out. So I don't know what he could have possibly heard today from anybody that says false narratives or otherwise, or are either lame or funny, because I don't really think that there has been too many narratives that have been put out there. The first thing that was out there that was debunked, I believe it was Armando Salguero, who reported this was all over a pay cut. And then he came out, I think hours later, rescinded it and said, no, it's about the relationship between Ramsey and the coach. And he even tweeted today, Mike McDaniel is asked 3 consecutive questions about Jalen Ramsey. Wants nothing to do with the topic. Coach says his focus is on the players currently at OTAs. I reported Ramsey and McDaniel had a falling out, which is the reason the cornerback will be traded. Remember, in that same piece, Armando also pointed out, like, just out of the blue in the piece, said Ramsey has a great respect for Chris Grier, which I found very odd to just have. Whatever source was telling Armando all of this, I just found an odd aside detail to put in there. Made me feel like it was coming from the front office and people covering their ass. That's what it felt like. But I haven't seen many narratives out there about the Jalen Ramsey thing, other than people being pissed that, you know, he wants to be rats off a ship and get out of there. But Mike McDaniel then was asked in this whole ordeal about if he's sad that the Ramsey thing didn't work out, and this is what he had to say on that.
Are you sad that the relationship went sideways?
I'm very excited to coach a football team, and that's, you know, not dismissing, but quite honestly, like I everything's an opportunity cost. So I think it is quite honestly irresponsible for me to put down some of the thoughts and focus on the players that we're working now to build a performance for the season, and concern myself with that. I think that's where I should be, I think. So
it's not irresponsible. It's May. There's nothing that's not going to have the team focus on football to answer that question, but he doesn't want to talk about Jalen Ramsey. He kind of just wants it to be, and it is just like to go from, you know, this guy's a model teammate, what a leader he is when he's not even playing. Remember, Jalen Ramsey got hurt the first tenure of his Dolphins career, right? Like, he comes here, hurts the knee early in camp. I remember I was in Vegas. We were covering, what were we doing? I think it was Terrence Crawford, Errol Spenceley, and I were out in Vegas for. I remember talking about this. And the Jalen Ramsey news. And he was like side by side with Mike McDaniel on the crutches, side by side with him every practice, talking to him. So, yeah, for the relationship to get to that point after a couple of years, I think it does hurt Mike McDaniel. I think for a guy who does seem to harbor a lot of and have a lot of pride in the relationship that he had with players, clearly does with Tua, clearly did with Teron Armstead, clearly did, I think, with Tyreek Hill. I think there's other things that he's bothered by with Tyreek Hill. But I think the thing with Tyreek Hill, I think Tyreek Hill is like, I think there's something with Tyreek Hill where, like, Tyreek Hill is just like, you know, Tyreek's Tyreek. You know, like, Tyreek is genuinely a guy who I think means well, but has character flaws and really does seem like he battles stuff from a personal standpoint that can get in the way of his football stuff. I don't think Jalen Ramsey has a lot of that. I think Jalen Ramsey can be very direct and cutting and has been with other teams. And I also feel like when he sees a situation is done, I think he just calls it out like he sees it and wants to get the holy hell out of there. So I think that I'm trying to, like, I'm not trying to be pop psychologist, just trying to figure out, like, why, you know, 2 stars, why they're being handled differently. Other than money and business, you know, there's still business ramifications with Jalen Ramsey. They just gave him extra guaranteed money, and yet this one is so eager to count down the days to get the out of here, you know? Whereas Tyreek, they're trying to make it work. Seems like everybody is on that page. I don't take any of the stuff that he did with the streamer seriously. But Mike McDaniel, I do think is. I think to Joe Shad's question, I do think that he's hurt. To say that it's irresponsible for him to put down thoughts on it, I don't understand why it would be. I understand why maybe as a prideful man you don't want it out there. Like nobody. It feels like a cutting thing for somebody to say, yeah, that genuinely did hurt my feelings. No football guy, for a guy especially as Mike McDaniel, doesn't already want that out there. But we know that Mike does take a lot of these football stuff personally. The way that he talks to his players, the way that he is with his players when they get hurt, the care that he has for Tua, kissing Tua on the head. You know, this is a guy that I think does put a lot of his heart and soul in his players, and I do feel like he's a little I do feel like this is at a point of no return, obviously, but also to bleep that guy. There was actually another interesting one because somebody asked him about how the team is attacking the offseason, and I had heard Mike McDaniel say something that I also kind of thought was indirectly pointed at Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I think it's I think there's no shortcut for the answer to that equation. There's no easy put a poster on the wall. You have a team, this 2025 team I've been with for 5 weeks, and with their daily investment across the board, with the attendance and the vigor that we go about each and everything. I can tell where their minds are at, and you don't fix something by bitching about it and complaining about it. You fix stuff with actions.
Now, if that wasn't a comment directed at somebody indirectly, like if that wasn't just like putting something out in the ether that, who's a master. Eric Spoelstra was a master of this at all times, right? Like you'd ask Eric Spoelstra will never call out his players. But like if he did have an issue with a player, there would be a move that he has praising other guys and bringing up other stuff that you definitely could tell wasn't just about that player. It was about other things, and that's what that felt like. Because a couple of things. One, he mentions the attendance, the tardiness, the on time, all that stuff. We know that's the thing the Dolphins are trying to fix. The other thing is the poster on the wall thing, which I think is funny because Mike McDaniel is like Mr. Jokey Joke t-shirt guy. And now is like he's going in a whole other direction from it. So I thought that was very noticeable. Now, as for OTAs today, I guess the big story out of it was Tua connected with Jaylen Waddle on a bomb ski. He did do it, though, on Cam Smith, who apparently was up and living. I wasn't boots on the ground. I was on the air on the radio show, so I can't tell you what the play looked like. I don't know as I record this now if they've even put out a highlight of it. But that is one of those where, like, hey, fired up because you have the quarterback connecting with his star wide receiver or one of his star wide receivers. Storm Duck, by the way, got the orange jersey, so secondary guys. 2 out of 2 days getting them. As you had Ethan Bonner and Jalen Phillips get it on day one, but the Duck Man was able to get it today. But Cam Smith, the first thing that any fan reads of him is got roasty toasted and potentially hurt. There's no way that doesn't want to make you put your head through plaster. Like there's no way. That when you're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to be all right, though. Jalen Ramsey, we're going to figure out this secondary thing. Even though ESPN's saying that the secondary of the Dolphins is going to be the worst position group in the NFL, we're going to be all right. Oh, Jaylen Waddle was awesome. Jaylen Waddle is the top player. He did what? Oh, he burned Cam Smith. All right, well, that's not, oh, Cam Smith also got hurt on that play. Awesome. And so you go from a play where it's like, yeah, to, oh. And it's always like, I feel bad for Cam Smith because it's like, hey, no shame in getting roasted by Jaylen Waddle, but also Jaylen Waddle roasting Cam Smith. No pride in that either, especially if he pulled up lame, or maybe he did the old I got burnt, something caught me. I don't know, dude, but I thought that the if you just like read all of that in pieces and tweets, I think as most of us are reading, it's like, oh, cool, Jaylen Waddle, bomb. Oh, who was it on? Oh, he did what? And that cornerback that you're hoping this is a do or die year for him can't hold his hand anymore. Oh, he's taking that hand and holding his hammy and he's limping. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully some reinforcements are on the way. They'll have more clarity about this once the calendar turns to June.